Now I'm not afraid to do the Lord's work. He said vengeance is his, but I'll do it first. I'm gonna handle my business in the name of the Lord. Oh. Now if he made you cry, oh, I gotta know he's not ready to die. Let's prepare for it. My judgment's divine. I'll tell you who you can call. You can call. You better call the police. Call the coroner. Call up your priest. Have the warrior. Work in your peace. When I find that road, everybody else been to the fire. Where did I go? Who did I do? Didn't know that man. Who did I do? Very interesting subject for you today. Who did I do? Now I don't take pleasure in the language pain. But my rap will come down like the cold rain. And there won't be no shelter, no place you can go. Hey, hey, hey. It's time to put your hands up. Time for surrender. I'm a vigilante. My love's a bender. You're a wanted man. Hey, give everybody knows. They want me. Yeah. You better call the police. Call the coroner. Call up your priest. Have the warrior. Better warn him. I'm gonna be a street. You know that man. Who did I do? Who did I do? My baby. Who did I do? Gotta find that everything that to you. He'll keep on running by. I'm closing in. It's my theme song, people. I'm not trying to promote out like y'all. If you see me coming, my podcast theme song. Who they gonna call? They gonna call me. You better call the police. Call the coroner. Call up your priest. He gonna warn you about it. That man know what he talking about. Call the doctor if you don't know. Ask the doctor. What is that man talking about, doc? He seems to know a little bit more than you if you have the licenses. I'm just kidding around with you. I don't know more than the doctor. But I can read. Just like doctors got to read, you can read up on whatever ails you with your mental health. The only thing I try to do is be informative, truthful, honest, and inspirational if possible, because that's what we do here. We want to inform people, make them aware of what is going on. And people need to know this through and through, because some people just don't have this kind of money. You know, if you have it and you're trying to get that information, ask that doctor questions. Because the show is going to be about when your mind won't slow down and finding calm in the middle of anxiety. Now, I know a lot of people don't pay anxiety very much attention, but this also is a reflection also in your recovery. If you're recovering from behavioral issues with alcohol and drugs, and you're still trying to find a satisfaction of peace, we're going to try to have a nice, serious conversation about that today. Now, have you ever laid down at night only to have your mind racing through everything that happened today and everything that could happen tomorrow. Do you notice that your mind just won't let go of those thoughts? Have you ever felt mentally exhausted because your thoughts simply won't slow down? Now, I know everyone doesn't suffer from that, but most people do suffer from racing thoughts. They just won't leave you alone. You know, even when you can't solve them, you want to get them solved. It's constantly on your mind. Can't get no sleep. You're losing sleep. Can't get restless sleep. Waking up at night. You know. Now, anxiety doesn't always look like a panic attack. Okay, because some people could have the anxiety so overwhelming they would have a panic attack. But sometimes it looks like overthinking, constantly worrying. Now, when a lot of people do that, constantly worry, difficulty relaxing, trouble sleeping, you're irritable all the time, and you're feeling like your mind is always on and it never turns off. Do you feel that way sometimes? Because we're going to conversate about that today. Now, in today's episode, we're going to explore what happens when our thoughts begin to control us instead of us guiding our thoughts. Have any of you even paid attention to guiding your thoughts? Or just have your thoughts in control of you? Now, we'll discuss why anxiety causes our minds to race, how chronic stress affects your mental health, and practical ways to calm our mind without pretending our problem don't exist. Now, I know a lot of y'all probably wouldn't understand some of this, but most of y'all do. And that's why we're going to have this open conversation. Now, in today's discussion, this is what it's going to include. Understanding while our minds race, the connection between anxiety, stress, and overthinking, how constant worry affects our mental and physical health. While uncertainty feels so difficult, healthy ways of calming your mind during anxious moments, building habits that provide emotional resilience, and finding peace one thought, one breath, and one day at a time. Now, whether you're managing your anxiety yourself, supporting someone who is, or simply feeling overwhelmed by life's demands, this episode offers encouragement and practical tools and hope. That's what we're going to be conversating or having a conversation about today, so that you can understand, because a lot of people don't really understand anxiety and what it can do. You see, some people will have a panic and somebody just don't know, exactly what is wrong with them, but they just know that they seem like they're just having their minds attacking them, and they have no control. They think they're losing their mind. Now, this is common with a lot of people that are just so stressed out that you just cannot get anything done mentally. Now, understand a racing mind. Let's break that down. Why anxiety makes it so hard to slow down. Let's discuss that for a minute. And what I want to do, I want to welcome everyone back to the show. All the viewers, if you can't use it, please feel free to take some notes, jot it down, pass it on to somebody that can use this. And I like to thank you all for joining my mental health podcast with your host, proud veteran, proud entrepreneur, and proud veteran petty officer Upshaw. Now, with this topic, it's something many people quietly struggle with. That's now people struggle with it, but they don't understand it. They don't. They're not running around trying to look for people. Excuse me. Look for people to ask this particular type of question to, because some people don't really know what to ask. That's why I'm going to break it down as much as possible for you. Okay? A mind that simply won't slow down. That's termed as anxiety in mind. Now, a lot of us, we know we have racing thoughts and constantly. And what about if you're in recovery? Look how fast your mind is going, trying to keep up with these thoughts of not wanting to use, not wanting that same life again, and just trying to slow that mind down. It's very, very difficult. That you want to talk to somebody, but you talk to them, but your mind is still racing, and you got all of this temptation around you. You're trying to stay away from person, place, and thing. And what about the people that's just chronically stressed every day? Because life is just very difficult nowadays, and it's not going to get any better. But you have to know how to be able to control your anxiety, because that anxiety will also turn into a deep depression. And a lot of people, a lot of people, the minorities in particular, they don't really understand. They just know that things ain't going right, and they just sick and tired. You know what I mean? You know, when you finally sit down to relax, and suddenly your brain reminds you of everything you forgot to do, right? The bills, the appointments, work, family, health, future, yesterday's mistakes, tomorrow's responsibilities. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. A lot of us constantly are reminding ourselves, our minds just constantly keep staying on these subjects and these particular solution, not the solution, but these problems. We keep manifesting them in our mind, whether they're bigger, they're smaller. Did I get it done? Can I get it done? Do you see where I'm going with this? And most of the time, you're thinking about what you got to worry about tomorrow when it didn't even get here yet, right? You can't tell me that a lot of people nowadays aren't constantly worried about that. What about your job? Getting up every day doing the same thing, not getting ahead, knowing you're not getting ahead, wanting to do something different, wanting to make more money, wanting to want a promotion, which leads to even more responsibilities. And if you can't handle the responsibilities you already have, to try to pile on more of them is going to cause serious anxiety attack. And with some people, they'll start isolating themselves, falling into a depression. Some people don't even know they're depressed or in a depressive state. They don't even know. They just think that their mind is just tired, and you're physically worn out, and you feel, you just don't really use the word burnout, but you just feel as though your mind is just burnt out. And there's got to be a better way. Isn't that how some people think? sometimes the loudest noise in our lives isn't around us, it's inside our minds. It's what we are fighting. You're fighting yourself every single day. And it seems like there's just no end in sight. And it can cause a lot of health problems for you, and you don't even realize it. You think maybe taking some Tylenol, some aspirin, even some people with mental health medicine, which I have that too, but I don't really take it. You know, I try to keep these racing thoughts under control because you could say my temperament is pretty short. My patience is short. I don't really go through a lot like financially. I don't, I'm retired, so I don't work. But my racing thoughts is my business aspect of things I want to get done and I want to pursue. And these thoughts never leave me alone, you know. And then, you know, I could pursue it or I can choose to just sit back and just do nothing. That's kind of like that I have because you could say I'm a better off than most, you know. But you know that anxiety, my anxiety is on high alert most of the time because if some people or some veterans are going through or maybe in veterans court, they probably know what I'm talking about. It's just constantly. It's not a word. They just stress you out. You know, when they're trying to help you, you feel that those somebody's helping you, but they just stressing you out. You know, you're not worried about them. You know what you got to do. But they just make it so that it's a control factor. You know, you're also trying to get your own thoughts in control, and then you all have these outside uh, people always constantly just seem like they pressuring you for no reason at all. Haven't you felt that way? It's sometime on the job. It's like, why are you stressing me? It's going to get done. But it's just somehow that's how some people like to pressure other people because for some that's just the way that they are. They think that they're doing good or trying to be in charge, or trying to manage people or something. Or what they all doing is just talking air. They don't even really know what they're talking about. They just want to hear themselves talk, you know, and they just causing a lot of mental problems for you, which need not even be there. You see my point? Now, our brains are designed to notice potential problems, but if you've noticed nowadays, especially with a lot of people, they realize a lot of their problems, a lot of them they can't do anything about, you know, or, what about uh, an immigrant population? They got to constantly be on the constant stress all the time, just trying to take care of their family. You don't think that their mental health and their anxiety is off the roof, not knowing if you're going to be able to sustain your life, and you're not even on no alcohol or on substance abuse, just trying to make a living. And that's everybody else. A lot of people in America too. Everybody's just not on substances, alcohol, and drugs. They're just trying to get through life itself, causing you behavioral issues, mental issues. And sometimes you're going to step back and see why. I'm just trying to have peace. I just want to, I know some of you are thinking, all I want to do, I just want to work, pay my bills, feed my kids, or feed myself, and just relax, just sit back. But you notice you're just always constantly on Your mind is always constantly on high alert. That's anxiety, is just these thoughts just keep racing, racing, racing. And especially nowadays with all that's going on, can you imagine all of those people just trying to go out their door every day? You know, the anxiety, this chronic stress that they have to do, wondering if they're going to come back home. What kind of, I don't understand the kind of America that we live in, that people already have problems. They don't need this kind of stress and fear of just trying to make a living and raise their families. Now, that's not even counting the people that, everyday people that live here that don't have that aspect of stress, but the stress and chronic stress of everyday life, not being able to afford to live, And why is it just so many younger people, they like in their late 30s and early 30s, a lot of them are homeless, and you're trying to figure out, when you're so young and you have all of this life, and why are you just throwing it away? They just, I don't have an answer for you for that, but I'm quite sure they're also suffering from a lot of mental health issues with the constant stress of responsibilities that maybe they don't want. They don't want, they just don't want to deal with these responsibilities. But you got to. Everybody has responsibilities to their life. I don't know what they're learning. And that's why these issues with mental health for the younger people, the older people have already been grown up through all these phases of life with these issues. But what we did was we just persevered. I didn't really know much about anything about mental health till about 20 years ago. That's listening to my psychologist. And personally, to me, I still don't really think they understand you. They want to put forth their solutions to your problems. Well, what about how you figuring out the solution to your problem without your professional help? But your professional help, what if it's not really helping me solve the damn problem? What the hell do I do? What do I do? Now, when our brains find these potential problems, that can be helpful. Now, it helps us to prepare, solve problems, and try to stay safe. Now, most of us are in safe areas, more or less, safe living, if you want to call it. I'm not saying everybody, but some people are in a position to where they are. But at what cost does that safety take place? Because everything nowadays costs. You got your gated communities. You want to be in a safe community. Or the community that you in, you practically know everybody. And some people are safe, some people don't feel safe. That's tough too, But when stress becomes constant, the brain may stay in a heightened state of alert, like I just mentioned. Why am I in a state of alert all the time? What in the heck is going on? You know what I mean? But instead of asking, what needs my attention right now, you begin to ask, what's what could go wrong next, right? I know you've seen a lot of things just constantly keep going wrong, and or you just can't seem to get it right. Don't you feel that way sometimes? That damn, or what could go wrong next? You know what I mean? Because so many things have gone wrong that now you're in a state of anticipating something to go wrong. Do you feel that way sometimes? And that anxiety is the one that's keeping you in that state of mind. And it's like it never, you notice that it like never goes away. It's like, damn, you know? Oh, what am I worried about it for? Ain't nothing I can do about it right now, you know? So this is where you start overthinking and your emotional exhaustion when you're overthinking things, you know? And overthinking often feels productive to some people, and to others, it can mean a totally different thing. It can feel like we're solving problems. Don't you feel like you try to solve these problems one at a time? You can't solve so many problems all at the same time. But that seems like when you solve this problem, another problem is here. Then you got to take care of that problem. Here go another problem. I know a lot of parents feel that way with their kids. You know, raising kids now in this world, because I know y'all see a lot of it stuff on TikTok, whereas these teachers are so bad that they're trying to bring back racism, which you know how much mental health issues it has always caused minority people. The last thing we need to deal with, all the other crap we have to deal with every day, is racist people. I mean, it's like in this day and age, I mean, what 21st century, what is wrong with y'all? You know, that you still don't like people the color of my skin when you got black boys disappearing on all white, all his friends are white. And you know what kind of mental health issues that's going to cause their parents not knowing what happened to their own child, you know? And if, believe me, if y'all wanted to hear my point of view on it, I ain't going to voice, but I'll still say just stay away, because people need to stay with their own people. If y'all want to be like that, be my guest. Get away from me. You know, I got enough worries, problems, stresses in my life already. I don't got no time to be dealing with people in regards to, we've already been through this for, we don't even want to say how many centuries, that they caused us this mental health issues, this chronic stress, this being irritable, being upset, being mad, don't have patience for nothing, just want to be left alone. Why can't we just be left alone? Let us build our own lives without people wanting to interfere with that, so that we can have peace of mind and not have to be dealing with some aspects of community that just does not agree with you because of your nationality, color, creed, religion. Why? Don't we have enough problems? I'm sitting here having a conversation about mental health, and look at all of the things that's causing it. causing us not to be able to deal with these issues because it keeps piling on, piling on, piling on, and all we want to do is just take care of our responsibilities, live our life, just have peace and be safe wherever we live. I don't see why that's so much to ask. We don't have to be constantly in this state of alertness, anxiety, depression, isolation, you know, just to deal with other people. Don't y'all feel as though we don't need this? I got enough issues I'm dealing with myself. Isn't that right? I'm trying to tell you, you know. For many people, many times, we simply replay the same worries without finding new answers. Just like we're just discussing. These same worries are constant. Always. It's like they just don't go nowhere. That causes a lot of serious mental issues with people, and then they wonder why people explode. They just can't take it no dang more. Because you wonder why is it still continuing to happen? You know, that constant mental activity can leave us feeling exhausted even after doing very little physical things. We cannot concentrate on nothing, you know. Now, I don't have anything against the news or anything, but they bringing the awareness to us, or we would never even know. You know, we wouldn't know this constant struggle we have to continue to go through and deal with our own mental health. I mean, what the? You know what I mean? Now, these constant signs that's going to include, it's going to always know how he's trouble sleeping, difficulty concentrating, you're irritable all the time. You get muscle tension from this, you know, muscles hurt, muscles ache, you know, your body is just fatigued and feeling emotionally overwhelmed. And I know a lot of people do not want to be feeling this way all the time. We all want to get a nice, pleasant night of sleep with our mind not constantly racing, don't want to slow down because minds continually do that every single night. I got to take all kinds of sleep aid to get to sleep. I can't get to sleep at all without it. And I'm sad that, you know, that aspect of it, be medicating myself every single night. I've been medicating myself every single night. I don't know, for the past 40 years. You know, and my mind is not, I'm not overwhelmed. I don't really have difficulty concentrating. It's just completing the task that I want to do. Other than that, you know, I'm trying my best to keep my mental health in check. Um, you know, you notice this constant bad news that you get all the time, you know, can be very overwhelming, you know, because you sometimes you have to keep thinking back to yourself, when is it going to end? Why does it keep happen to happen, especially over here in America? You know, be given my opportunity that I'm going to have. I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting away from this. This just cannot keep happening because people want it to happen. And not going to destroy my psyche, my mental health, and keep dragging me down, dragging me with mental health issues, being overwhelmed by bull crap because they want to. Some people think they want to live the way that only they should live, and that I serve no purpose being in this world. That ain't gonna happen, you know. But I'm gonna get away from. I'm gonna get my peace of mind, and I strongly suggest, as you dealing with these issues, get a way to find your peace. Don't get caught up in a lot of this crap. I know a lot of us cannot avoid it, but at all means necessary, avoid it because something is going wrong here, and dealing with this mental health in the middle of it is just causing too many other issues that you don't need to have to deal with. That's why you see people driving people to drink and use substances. And then when they stop and they're in recovery and then they have to go through something else, that's not counting what damage they did to their mental health. And the process of coping and getting away, because don't everybody feel as though they got to find a way to cope with something now? You know, it's just crazy, you know? And I'm trying to think, I don't have anything against doctors, psychologists, or whatever, you know? But then you kind of do, sometimes you want to ask yourself, why the heck do I got to, why do this keeps happening around me all the time? You know, just as much involved in my community or my people as anybody else. But what did we do wrong that we got to keep suffering? What? Because we want to live? We want to make a living for our families. We want to raise our families just like anybody else want to raise their family. And it's these issues is causing our mental health and our children's mental health. You know, it's just knowing, you know, we have a right to raise our family, take care of our responsibility, handle our mental health issues accordingly as you see fit, as you see what issues you need to deal with, how to deal with them, and what to deal with. You would think that would be all there is to it. Nope. There's a lot more to it than that. You know, thinking more doesn't always bring more clarity. Sometimes it only brings more exhaustion because we got to think about so much crap nowadays. Have you noticed that? That's not to mention, we hadn't even thrown in financial, trying to want to buy a house, paying somebody's rent, you know. And I would always say, if you can, find you a house to buy. Don't be paying nobody else's mortgage and putting their kids through school or staying in their apartment. I don't care how the apartment, if I can't own an apartment or be invested in it, I don't want to stay there. But I know a lot of people have no choice, but make a choice. Take a stance. If you want your own peace of mind and ownership, I don't care what anybody says. That is the tip of the iceberg. Ownership. And in America, when you own something, you can maintain a lot better than helping somebody else get rich. But that's just me. You know, that's just food for thought. You know, I'm just throwing that out there. You know, so for the younger ones in the late 20s and early 30s, and even some of the 40s, you need to take ownership in something. Own some property. Some, I don't care if it's just a lot. Buy, if you're going to waste your money, waste it on something that you own. Because when you own something, uh, then you got the little tired banks and all of this that now they want to, they more than happy to lend you money because you own something. Oh, now you want to give me something. Yeah. You don't want to give me the money to buy it, but once I own it, you know, because you want to place yourself in the possible means, all means necessary to have your mental peace. You deserve it. You didn't have to earn it. It's yours anyway. Your own peace of mind. Now, when people keep struggling with uncertainty, right? And what about the role of uncertainty? The many people struggle not because they know what will happen, but because they don't. But why don't you put yourself in the role of certainty instead of a role of uncertainty? Because basically a lot of us know exactly what's going to happen if we don't do this, we don't do that. We know that for certain. Do you see my point? But see, our minds often try to eliminate uncertainty by imagining every possible outcome, like I'm saying. You don't know what the outcome is. If you don't do this, you don't do that. You know what the outcome is. It's not uncertain. You know it. You know for sure this is going to happen if I don't do this, and this is going to happen when I don't do that. Now, it's not the same as when you're dealing with addiction, recovery, mental health, because that's uncertain. It's what you can, will, and won't do is that's going to drive you up the wall. So what you want to do, try your best. Because see, ironically, the habits that increase anxiety instead of reducing it, learning to tolerate uncertainty is part of building emotional resilience. That means that what you're tolerating your uncertainty because you don't have to imagine the outcome when you know what the outcome is if you do this and you do that. Addressing your addiction, addressing your recovery, addressing your mental health issues, what is associated with you, what is causing you these problems. Why don't you make sure you find out what these issues are and be certain as to if I do this, this is going to be my outcome. You can think about it that way also. You know, it's just food for thought, but it's one way to be able to tolerate something if you know what you're tolerating. If you don't know, how are you going to address it? That's why I have this conversation on the podcast just to give you this information to see what you may find out what you're dealing with for yourself. Do you see my point? That way you can head it off at the pass. Then you know if you're dealing with it in a certain way and you're addressing it, you're going to know what the outcome is. The outcome is you're going to get better. You're going to have peace of mind. You're going to get some pleasant sleep. I'm not saying it's going to be immediate and right away, but as long as you're addressing these issues, and you're talking to your medical professionals and see, I know nobody really like to be medicated, but if it helps, use it. If it doesn't, because I know a lot of these stupid pharmaceuticals come with so many side effects that the only thing that doesn't come with a side effect is sheer death. But other than that, it's already near death just to take some of these pills. But if needed, or if you don't want to do that, try to find out support. Try to find this support. If you need to talk to your professional, if it helps, I know a lot of people feel as though they don't really understand, but continue to make them understand. You know, don't try to give me solutions for the problems you haven't even found out I have yet when you're already giving me solution to my problem. I've been explained to you. And most of them would always say, well, it isn't something I haven't heard before. So what? You didn't hear it from me. You don't know what my issues are. I'm one person. That person is another person, you know. But everybody doesn't have the exact problem the exact same way. And they're not going to solve it the exact same way, the way in which it needs to be solved, but not nobody's going to do the same exact thing because everybody is different. Everybody handles things different. Everybody's affected differently. Do you see my point? Now, we're going to be closing in reflection. Now, am I solving today's problems? Did you ask yourself that? Have you asked yourself that today? Or if you want to ask yourself that tomorrow, or basically any given day, that basically is going to state, am I actually trying to solve the issues that I have? Now, I'm not saying you have to. You can do whatever you want. I'm just having a conversation here. Or what about, are you worried about tomorrow's possibilities, tomorrow's problems, tomorrow's issues? You can be thinking that way. It's a difficult path that you generally have to take. But that simple question can help you recognize when anxiety is beginning to take over. Do you understand? That I solve today's problems or worrying about tomorrow's possibilities or tomorrow's problems. Because, see, that's when your anxiety is going to take over. Because you're worried about something tomorrow, everything you got. Don't you have to get to tomorrow before you can worry about tomorrow? Tomorrow wasn't promised to anybody, is it? And the problems you had today, were you able to solve one of them, two of them? Were you able, or you just got to worry about them today, all day, and didn't get anything solved? That's a point you can actually, you can ask yourself that. Now, let's get into finding calm and practical ways to quiet an anxious mind. Okay? Now, we're going to get into that briefly. Now, let's talk about something equally important. How do we slow things down? And it's not by pretending life is easy. You don't have to pretend life is easy. Because life is hard, period. It doesn't matter if you have money, don't have money. Life is still hard. Do you see my point? But by learning healthy ways to respond when anxiety shows up. Now, first, you're going to need to understand the anxiety in yourself. And what problems is it causing? Do you see my point? Now, for everybody, they probably have it under control, or they don't really have anxiety, but we all have a form of anxiety. It's just uh, at what point in time does it actually take over? Do you see my point? When does that constant worry, how do we slow down our minds? Do you see my point? But you just got to know when that anxiety is going to show up. That's why you have to do your research and know exactly what anxiety is and what problems it's causing for you when it shows up. How you going to deal with it? And if you want to deal with it, put it that way. Oh, one way. What about returning to the present moment? One of anxiety's biggest habits is pulling us into the future, right? We begin worrying about things that haven't happened. Have you ever found yourself doing that? Yes, to how many trees? That's some people's joke. Well, one of the uh, one of anxiety's biggest habits is pulling us into the future, right? Now, some people that understand anxiety, it's just those ones I'm talking to. If other people, I hope y'all had taken some notes and y'all can just, you know, come on for the ride. Now, we begin worrying about things that hasn't happened. Have you ever found yourself worried about things that haven't even happened yet? That's the anxiety pulling you into the future, and you're in the present day, in the present moment. You see my point? One helpful practice is generally bringing your attention back to the present. Bring yourself back to where you are in today, not tomorrow. You know, because your anxiety, once it gets up there and it shows up, it's gonna have you thinking about things that hasn't even happened yet, and you're worried about them happening, and they're in the future. And as you know, none of us can predict the future. We can't predict what's gonna happen tomorrow. We assume that problems I got today, they gonna show up tomorrow, right? Especially if I didn't do anything or I couldn't do anything about it, it's gonna be there tomorrow, right? What about asking yourself, what do I know for certain right now? What do you know for certain right now? That's one way to control your anxiety. What is actually happening in this moment? Is anything happening that was able to take place to resolve this issue right now and in this moment? That's what you gotta ask yourself. What is within my control today? What is in my control today? What can I control today? That's one way how you can get your anxiety in control and slow down your mind. If you can't control it, what the hell are you gonna do about it? Right? What you gonna do? Now, this doesn't erase uncertainty, but it can reduce the feeling of being overwhelmed by it. If you can't do jack about it, what are you getting overwhelmed for? Ain't nothing you can do, right? These songs. That's all that that I'm just trying to discuss with you. If you see my point. Because I like the conversations that I'm having because I'm giving you an insight into what takes place is what I'm doing. Now, some people may understand, some people may not. If not, you know, um, all my shows are basically recorded. So you can pass it on to somebody. I don't care if you hear a minute, second, 5 seconds, or the whole hour. You know, I'm just being very informative and very inspirational and bringing awareness to some issues. You know, what about building daily habits that support your mental health or your addiction or your recovery? Calm isn't created only during moments of crisis. It's strengthening by everyday habits. That means you need to change some of your habits. You do. Why don't you consider? Now, this may not be for everybody, but for the people that may need it, what about keeping a regular sleeping schedule that you can find yourself getting the most rest at a certain period of time, right? I know it's, especially here in Florida, it's just too hot to, spend time outdoors. It's just, for a lot of us, it ain't gonna happen. You know, what about not sitting around hours and hours and hours of the day, moving your body regularly, not just walking around in the house? If you're going to do some kind of exercises that's going to release a lot of pressure on your muscles and and take on a physical form that it's a regular routine. I know a lot of people. Oh, I know a whole lot of people ain't really into exercising and all of that. But you're not doing it just so somebody else can notice. You're doing it for your own health. What about, you ever thought about writing down your thoughts before bed? Because you could actually get those thoughts out of your head by writing them down on paper. That way, I don't have to keep thinking about it. Here it is right here. I can pick it up tomorrow. This what my thoughts were yesterday. Why don't you practice slowing down and, like I always say, the study breathing habits on a regular basis? Deep breaths, slow breaths, clearing your mind, trying to clear out those thoughts. That would be something that you can practice. Say goodbye to extortionate you can. A lot of people don't, because a lot of people like to be isolated, and sometimes they don't even want to be talking to anybody. You can stay connected with trusted friends, people that you trust with your personal conversations, or family members. Well, you can't really trust a lot of them. They'll get upset and tell all your business. Same as friends. But these are trusted people you can trust with your personal business if you choose. Because small habits repeated consistently can have a meaningful impact over time. You just got to give it time. Just small changes in your habits, or creating some small habits that are meaningful for change. Do you understand? Now, peace isn't found by eliminating every challenge. It's built by strengthening the way we respond to them. Do you understand? That's how you're going to bring peace. Peace isn't found by eliminating every challenge. It's built by strengthening the way we respond to them. Will bring you peace. Do you see my point? And what about giving yourself grace? Some days your mind will feel calm. Other days it won't. Right? This is for the people that really understand their mind, their anxiety, depression, chronic stress. And for those that don't, these are ways, this conversation is a way for you to become aware. Do you feel me? Now, progress isn't measured by never feeling anxious. It's measured by learning healthier ways to respond when your anxiety appears. Now, some people may be aware of their anxiety, others may not be. But this is a way for you to research and find out what your anxiety level is and how it's affecting you. Okay? You got to be patient with yourself. Growth often happens gradually. It's not going to just boom and be there. It's not going to happen that way. Gradually let it grow. Have patience. Have patience that you know is going to produce results. How's that? Now, this is going now in closing. As we finish today's episode, remember this. Your anxious thoughts are experiences, not permanent definitions of who you are. You don't have to believe every fearful thought that enters your mind. Now, that's some people. I'm not saying that's all people, but some people, every fearful thought that enters your mind, you don't have to believe it. You know, you don't have to solve every problem before allowing yourself to rest. Why don't you rest before trying to solve all the problems all at once? You're going to need to take one breath, take one step, and focus one day at a time. Because you can only live one day at a time, right? And over time, those small moments of calm become the foundation of your emotional resilience, your emotional ability to deal with these things. In other words, that's exactly what it's going to do. Now, if this episode encouraged you, share it with someone who may be carrying invisible weight of anxiety, or explain anxiety to them and how it's affecting them. You never know who needs the reminder that they are not alone. Now, until next time, I need for you guys to take care of yourself, protect your peace, and remember, even when your mind feels busy, your heart can still learn to find moments of calm. Healing doesn't require a perfect life. It begins by taking one steady step forward, one thoughtful breath at a time. Do you understand? And with that, I am going to bring this episode to a conclusion. And before I go, I want to take a moment to give a moment of silence for the fallen, past and present. So let's give them a moment. Now, with that, I think all of the viewers, any given day, that have viewed the show and that are interested in the power of conversation. And with that, I'm going to go right into Calm for Sleep, the evening reset. And we're going to start. And this is brought to you by Still Light Studios. Maybe you're driving home from work. Maybe you're picking up a family member. Maybe you're on your way home or just finishing a long day. Wherever you are right now, take a moment with me. You don't have to close your eyes if you're driving, but take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Another week, another day of responsibilities, pressure, and staying strong. For many veterans, first responders, and everyone else, the world expects you to always be alert, always ready, always focused. But tonight, during this small moment on the road, you can let your shoulders relax just a little. Loosen your jaw. Notice the road in front of you. Notice the rhythm of your drive. There is something calming about movement, about knowing you're headed somewhere safe. If today was difficult, remind yourself of something simple you've made through today. And sometimes that is enough. The people around you may not always understand the weight you carry, but here in this space, we recognize it and we respect it. So, as you continue your drive tonight, let this be a reminder that you deserve a moment of peace. Whether you're heading home, meeting family, or simply taking a quiet drive, allow yourself to slow down mentally. Breathe in calm. Breathe out stress of the day. And now, I'd like to thank you for taking this moment with me tonight because this was Calm for Sleep, the evening reset from Still Life Studios. So please drive safe, take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next episode. And with that, I will bid you a good night. Peace. I salute you. So if you're tired of switching between glasses, do yourself a favor and try Clarity Blue glasses. My daughter gave them to me for Father's Day, but honestly, I wish I had tried them sooner. Right now, you can grab a pair for 50% off. For under $40, you get clear vision